Good evening. This is your host, Dan Stafford, with the Midwestern Geek in Cali podcast, and this is episode 100. Whoa. 100 it is. Well, I'm not really counting the little Happy New Year thing that I did as episode 100. This really is episode 100. I've got some interesting news for you. Hanging with a little bit of go-go juice here and had a little bit of a nap. So hopefully I won't be yawning too much. Yeah, for something about talking a lot, it seems to hit me with that yawning effect. I don't know what it is, but when I talk too long, and I'm talking and thinking at the same time, and I'm not really holding a conversation with another person, I'm just talking. Even if I'm not super tired, I tend to get that yawning effect, which is really a bummer if you're trying to be a YouTube host. Yeah, not cool. Anyway, so my best hope is to get plenty of sleep and try to, stay on top of things and et cetera, et cetera. Plenty of caffeine, plenty of rest, and then, of course, interesting things to talk about. So this is episode 100. It's my first episode of 2020. So far, it's shaping up to be kind of a wild ride already. So we'll get into that in a minute. Again, this is your host, Dan Stafford, with the Midwestern Geek in Cali. This is a YouTube channel that started as a podcast and gets into all kinds of interesting geeky stuff, tech news, sci-fi, little bits of world news, occasionally paranormal. Sometimes we cover conventions. I've got a friend who's a photographer and runs a news website. I run his website, but he actually does all the content and I do all the technical stuff. I'm an IT professor at a local technical college. I'm, just about to hit my systems administrator cert from Microsoft, and 21 years of telecommunications, radar, way back, 2-year vocational in aircraft electronics. I've been geeking for a long time, and I would like to consider myself what I would call an elder geek, because I've seen a lot of technology. I started geeking way back in the 70s. Yeah, I'm kind of getting up there. I'm actually going to hit 58 years old next month. Interesting. It's all good though, and we've got some interesting stories to go on to tonight, so I'm going to go ahead and hop to it. Let's go. All right, a little bit of infinity screen there. All right, we'll get that, and let's get over here. Of course, I always like to point out our website. You can get here by going www.midwesterngeekincali.com. You'll have access to all of our older episodes and show notes and everything. And regarding the show notes, if I have an article featured in this YouTube video, then you're going to find links to those articles so you can actually go read them on your own. Of course, you'll find all my technical certifications, or at least a good portion of them. There's a lot more than that, but a lot of them are older and more minor. These are the major ones. And then in the link list up above over here, you can, of course, find us on social media. You're going to be able to find us, our Discord server, Facebook discussion group, Facebook page, FeedBurner feed, Midwestern Geek in Cali on Twitter, at MidwestGeek-Cali. Of course, the YouTube channel, and a few other interesting things, and I may add to that list of links as things come along. Of course, you can also see my episode 99. I did a bunch of holiday art. So I do want to point out that if you're looking at the artwork on here, all you got to do is click on the photo and it'll come up full screen. So just FYI, and of course, if there's multiple photos in a post, you can kind of scroll through them down here across the bottom. So a little bit better view since we're past the holiday episode. All right, that's one of my favorites right there. Merry Xmas for those X-Files fans out there, and a little bit of Christmas poinsettia on it. Anyway, yeah, that's me doing the artwork. I've always loved to draw on pen and paper. I started off drawing comic books and cars in grade school, and yeah, I just keep playing with it. It's enjoyable. And we'll go ahead and get out of that, and let's get over to some of the stories. Now, speaking of wild rides, we have a physicist proposing using a massive stellar engine, which would be an enormous construction project, but is technically feasible based on the science we already know, that would be able to move the entire solar system by moving the sun. That strikes me as fascinating. It would be pretty cool if we could move the entire solar system and park it wherever we want it. Well, I don't know about parking it, because once you speed it up, it's kind of hard to slow it down. But anyway, fascinating article, and it's well worth reading. There's a good little bit of it there. I will leave that with you, but wow, that would be cool. Almost Doctor Who worthy there. Of course, those of you trying to keep up with New Year's resolutions, well, that exercise one comes into play for a lot of us. I myself personally have been doing what is technically called intermittent fasting for a couple of months now. But I'm doing the version where it's time restricted eating, where I only eat during certain hours of the day. So what I've done is I started off the first couple of months where I would go 16 hours without eating and then eat for 8 hours, and then another 6, so within 8 hour portion of the day. And I just in the last week or so switched that over to an 18-6, so which means I go 18 hours without eating and 6 eating. And I found this to be easily maintainable for me. Now, this is not for everybody, because folks that have problems with blood sugar regulation, aka full-blown diabetes, you might want to consult a doctor before you do this, because it can potentially cause low blood sugar issues. So you might want to consult a physician if you're already having issues with blood sugar. But if you're able to go on this, it's supposed to, after you've been at it for a while, help with blood sugar regulation. So definitely talk to a doctor who's up on all the stuff with intermittent fasting if you're considering it and you've already got issues with blood sugar regulation. That being said, there's a lot of benefits touted to it. It's supposed to help with anti-inflammatory effects, lowering blood pressure a bit, reducing overall inflammation in the body, and there's even studies that suggest it can extend lifespan. So that being, I don't want to sidetrack too far into the intermittent fasting thing. If you Google that, you're going to find stuff on that all over. What I'm doing is the time restricted eating version of it. There's also a version where you eat one day, don't eat the next, eat one day, don't eat the. I find that a little harder to fathom. How that sounds to me like it'd be a lot harder to do. But if you're fasting during certain hours of the day and you get a little hungry at the end, it's real easy to tell yourself psychologically, hey, it's only another couple of hours and then I can eat. It's no big deal. I found this to be very maintainable, and that's the key to being successful with any of this stuff, is being able to sustain it over the long term. I think that's a very big deal. So anyway, that's what I'm working on personally. This article, though, is more about sustainable exercise and how to just increase and improve your overall activity level. And there's some really concrete suggestions in this article that are minor and easy to achieve, so I thought it would be a good one to throw out there for all you folks working on fitness related New Year's resolutions. This one might be have some things that help you maintain that over the long haul. All right, getting a little dry there with the long talking effect. Now let's scoot over to a fun one. All right, Christmas is over, but there's always a next year, and a lot of times, if you're gonna be great at Christmas, it takes starting to think about it and prep for it the year before. you know, um, long lead time, so to speak, since we have like 350 plus days until the next time it comes around. This one is from Redbubble, and FYI, yeah, I do have a Redbubble shop. I should probably get that over on the Midwestern Geek in Cali page. I will work on that. Featuring like merch and stuff that you can use that has my holiday art on it. Right now, I just started off with a few projects that are holiday themed for the moment, but this one, if you're looking to get ready for next Christmas, of course, what Redbubble is talking about here actually requires you to have Photoshop. There's quite a few other ideas out there for how to make these like so-called quote-unquote ugly Christmas sweaters. There are some really awesome geek ones around, and I love the geeky ones. I personally have a really nice Star Wars one, but what bothers me about it, the design is super cool, but it's really a sweatshirt with an ugly Christmas sweater Star Wars design printed on the sweatshirt rather than an actual Christmas sweater, so to speak. So I really wish that one had been done as an actual Christmas sweater. So, I'm interested myself, since I do a little bit of artwork, into diving in and figuring out how to do my own Christmas sweater. There'll be more on that if I can actually get around to making it happen. I have a lot of irons in the fire. My wife loves to call me the man of 1,000 hobbies. So whether or not I actually can pull time out of thin air and make that happen, we'll find out. But if you're into it, now would be the time to start thinking about getting all geeky Christmas stuff for next year. All right. And of course, I couldn't do an early 2020 episode without talking about what everybody's kind of worried about right now. This is from a little bit more of a tech perspective. It's an article on the Atlantic about all the World War III memes since the strike on Iran. I'm not going to get into the political side of all that. I really am just hoping that it doesn't wind up really being into a full-blown world war or something like along those lines. I'm hoping that cooler heads will prevail and that will come to some kind of agreement that allows both sides to live in peace, and I'll leave it at that. But the World War III memes are everywhere, and here's a pretty good article on all that. Now, over to spaceflight. Now, of course, dominating the space news right now is all the SpaceX stuff. Elon Musk has really made some waves in the space industry in the last 5 years or so, and especially in 2019. And 2020 promises to be pretty amazing because he is going to get that Starship up and launched within 3 months. If that actually happens, that's going to be pretty cool. That's really going to make that Starlink internet constellation come along big time, because they'll be able to launch an awful lot of those Starlink satellites, and you'll be seeing broadband internet access via satellite going through the roof. And there's also 2 or 3, I want to say 3 other networks planned along similar lines. Now, astronomers, I'm hoping that they can get these satellites dimmed down so they're not interfering with astronomy at the level that people are concerned about. I know SpaceX is working on that issue. I'm really hoping that they can successfully follow through on making those satellite constellations not an issue for astronomy. I want to point out that Spaceflight Now, it's simply spaceflightnow.com. It is a British space site, I do believe. I could be wrong, but it's like my favorite one. It's not super buried in ads. It's got real good in-depth stories, and it's really, really all about what's actually going on, without all the flashbang distraction stuff that most of the web has. It's easy to take a deep dive into these stories. There's so many good stories on here. So I'm just going to link spaceflightnow.com on the website, and real quick I'm going to show you their sister website, Astronomy Now, which deals with astronomy issues. So I'll go ahead and link both of them over on the website. There are so many good stories on both of these sites. I've been reading on these sites for probably 10, 12, 13 years now. They've been around a long time. There's a boatload of content on here. So spaceflightnow.com, astronomynow.com, wonderful sites that I think you'll really enjoy if you're geeking on space exploration or astronomy or both. So let's go on over to The Verge. There's about 3 stories over here that I want to get to on The Verge. This one here, what the hell is Samsung's artificial human project? This is going to be unveiled at CES 2020, which is next week, and I'm really interested to find out what the heck are they talking about. Is it like one of those things where you can program an artificial intelligence to act like you as a person? Or is it chatbots gone on steroids? You know, the mystery is on, and we're not talking the Dodge Neon here. This is not something you drive, but it may drive us all crazy. Anyway, it looks very interesting. You can read the article for yourself. I like to show you guys these articles, but I don't want to dive too deep into the content because I want you to go visit these sites and read the articles on these sites. It is going to actually help these sites stay online and keep giving us all this great content, so I have something to talk about and you have something to read. And now, I can't go into 2020 and not talk about the bushfires in Australia. This one, it really, I actually have some friends in Australia that I've known online for a long time. I'm concerned for folks down there, and I'm just hoping that whatever we can do to help, we can do, and and that everybody makes it out okay down there, and that in the long run they're able to recover from this. But it is, I mean, we watch a lot of apocalyptic sci-fi. This isn't sci-fi, and it's very apocalyptic right now. So my heart goes out to you folks in Australia. If you're watching from down under, definitely thinking of you folks down there. Be safe, be careful, pay attention to all the news sources, watch Twitter, follow the hashtags on Twitter and just kind of stay up to speed on that. I think Australians actually are really good at using Twitter for logistics and helping each other when it comes to natural disasters. I remember that distinctly from the Queensland floods. I want to say it's about 7-8 years ago now, but all the floods that were going on in Queensland a few years back. I was online in the middle of the night, and I noticed a few other people from like Japan and the Netherlands and stuff were also following this and helping relay news. but the Australians were really using those hashtags on Twitter to connect with each other, connect resources to people in need. Like, all right, you need to dig and put up an earth berm over here. We got 20 guys with shovels over there. Let's hook up. These guys have extra emergency generators. These people over here need emergency generators. We got blankets, we got shelter, we need blankets, we need shelter. They were doing stuff like that on an incredible level, and they were using TweetDeck and Twitter to handle all this. And it was like everybody was an assistant logistics planner for helping relieve folks in need during these horrendous floods. And I haven't really been able to follow it on Twitter with the bushfires, but I'm hoping that you folks down there, down under, with your resourcefulness and that kind of can-do spirit that I seem to associate with folks from Australia, I'm hoping y'all pull through and everything turns out well for you. So best wishes, and I'm hoping that if we can lend a hand in any way, that the United States gets off its duff and helps with this situation. And I'll leave it at that. But Australia, our hearts are with you. And then finally, I want to wrap up with a cool little fun thing. This is very retro and very modern at the same time. 8-bit dues, tiny $20 keychain controller is now available, and it's a little tiny keychain controller that you can use to run retro games on your Mac, Raspberry Pi, Windows PC, Droids, etc. This looks like a ton of fun, and I think I might be getting one just for the getting one part of it. I mean, it looks like a blast. Although they tend to show the pink, and I prefer the blue. Just saying. But yeah, this looks really cool. And I wanted something a little fun, uplifting, hopeful, and all that. I want 2020 to be a wonderful year and not a year full of horror stories. So I'd like to leave everything on a positive note. And I also thank everyone for watching. So I'm going to zip back over, and we'll get a little bit of infinity screen going here. And then I'm going to say thank you, everyone. This is our episode 100. It's the first episode of 2020. I never really was sure I would be able to make it this long. I started off as a podcast and had to bail on that and turn over to a YouTube channel. I know I'm a little backwater YouTube channel, but keep it light, keep it fun. I do this because I enjoy it, because I enjoy talking about this stuff and all these subjects, and hopefully I bring up things that are interesting for you. You can always find us at www.midwesterngeekandcali.com on the blog, Facebook, Midwestern Geek and Cali group on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at Midwest Geek Cali. I will have show notes up on the blog a little bit after I get this thing uploaded to YouTube. And on that note, Happy New Year. Welcome to 2020. And let's go out there and geek this world out. All right. Happy Vulcan fingers to you from the agent of 42. And may there never be a rogue wave in your coffee mug. All right. And, last note. I really did enjoy that Doctor Who premiere, and looking forward to the second half of it tomorrow night. So all you critics out there, exterminate. Hey. All right. Thanks, everyone. Good night.